Most drivers assume small money-saving habits do not really matter. When a car starts easily, runs smoothly, and shows no warning signs, it feels reasonable to believe everything is fine. Decisions that seem practical in the moment rarely create urgency, especially when there is no immediate consequence. What often goes unnoticed is that many long-term vehicle problems begin this way, quietly and gradually. Vehicle health data shows most costly repairs come from long-term, unnoticed wear. This video explains how everyday habits shape wear over time, not to create concern, but to provide clarity. Understanding how small choices accumulate helps drivers make informed decisions without stress, exaggeration, or guesswork. Where problems actually begin. Most serious engine problems do not start with obvious misuse or neglect. They usually develop from habits that seem reasonable and cost-effective at the time. Because these choices do not cause immediate issues, they often go unnoticed. The vehicle continues to run normally, reinforcing the habit. Mechanical wear, however, does not need a warning sign to begin. It can develop gradually, long before a dashboard light or unusual sound appears. Why engine damage is usually delayed. Modern engines are designed to manage stress and compensate for minor problems. Sensors, fluids, and control systems adjust to protect components and maintain normal operation. As a result, early damage is rarely noticeable. The vehicle may continue to perform as expected, while additional strain builds out of view. When symptoms finally appear, the damage typically reflects long-term wear rather than a sudden failure. Habit number 1. Using household cleaners on the car. Using dish soap or other household cleaning products on a vehicle often feels like a sensible way to save money. These products are already available at home, remove dirt effectively, and leave the car looking clean. That immediate visual result reinforces the habit and makes it seem harmless. What is less apparent is that these cleaners are formulated for kitchenware and household surfaces, not for automotive finishes designed to withstand long-term environmental exposure. They are intended to strip oils and residues completely, which works well for dishes but conflicts with how vehicle surfaces are meant to be protected. Automotive paint and exterior trim rely on protective layers, such as waxes or sealants. These coatings are designed to create a barrier against moisture, ultraviolet light, road salt, and airborne contaminants. Household cleaners gradually remove these layers each time they are used. Because the change is incremental, it rarely draws attention. The paint may continue to look acceptable for some time, which allows the habit to continue without concern. Over time, however, water no longer beads as effectively. Dirt adheres more easily, and exterior surfaces begin to lose their original resilience. As protection weakens, moisture is more likely to remain on the surface and settle into seams, fasteners, and panel edges. Prolonged exposure creates conditions that encourage corrosion. Rust often develops beyond what is immediately visible, spreading to brackets, mounting points, and structural areas beneath the vehicle. What began as a minor cost-saving choice gradually exposes components to conditions they were not intended to endure over the long term. Habit number 2. Regularly driving on empty. Running the fuel level consistently close to empty feels efficient to many drivers. It reduces the frequency of refueling stops and creates the impression that fuel is being used carefully rather than wasted. Because the engine continues to start and run normally, the habit rarely feels risky. What is commonly overlooked is that fuel serves purposes beyond simply providing energy for combustion. In many vehicles, the fuel pump is mounted inside the fuel tank and depends on gasoline for both cooling and lubrication. When fuel levels are kept very low, the pump is exposed to higher operating temperatures and must work harder to move fuel through the system. This added strain does not usually cause immediate warning signs. Instead, it shortens the pump's service life gradually. When the pump eventually fails, the problem often appears sudden, even though the wear accumulated over a long period. Low fuel levels also affect sediment within the tank. As vehicles age, small particles naturally settle at the bottom. When fuel levels are low, these particles are more likely to be drawn into the fuel system. While filters are designed to trap debris, repeated exposure increases the load on both the filter and the pump. Over time, the combined effects of heat, mechanical stress, and contamination accelerate wear. The habit may seem practical, but its impact builds quietly and is usually only recognized when repair costs surface. Habit number 3. Ignoring small fluid spots. Noticing a small fluid spot on a driveway or garage floor is something many drivers gradually accept, especially as a vehicle ages. A few drops can feel routine and easy to dismiss. If the car continues to drive smoothly, the temperature gauge stays steady, and no warning lights appear, it is common to assume the leak is not serious. Over time, the spot becomes a background detail rather than an issue that demands attention. The problem with this habit is that vehicle fluids are not simple consumables. Engine oil, coolant, transmission fluid, and other fluids perform specific functions beyond lubrication. They regulate temperature, reduce friction, protect internal surfaces, and allow components to operate smoothly under constant stress. Even a slow leak reduces the reserve these systems rely on. The vehicle may still operate normally, but it is doing so with less protection than intended. Modern vehicles make gradual fluid loss difficult to detect. Engines and transmissions are designed to tolerate small variations and continue operating without immediate symptoms. As fluid levels decrease slowly, systems compensate. Oil pressure can remain within normal ranges, and temperatures may not change noticeably. From the driver's perspective, conditions seem stable, allowing the issue to continue unnoticed. Over time, lower fluid levels increase friction and heat. Moving parts experience greater contact, and seals are subjected to harsher conditions. Heat builds in areas that depend on fluid circulation for cooling. This process rarely causes sudden failure, but it steadily accelerates wear. Components that could have remained reliable for years begin to deteriorate earlier, often without clear warning. Small leaks also tend to worsen. Seals harden, gaskets weaken, and vibration contributes additional stress. What begins as minor seepage can turn into a larger loss. By the time a warning light appears or performance changes, wear has often been developing for a long period. Addressing small fluid spots early helps maintain stable operating conditions rather than reacting to failure. For viewers who find clear, straightforward explanations helpful, subscribing is optional. Habit number 4. Long idling to warm up. Allowing a vehicle to idle for an extended period before driving is a habit shaped by caution. Many drivers associate warming up the engine with reduced wear, particularly in colder weather. Letting the engine run while the cabin warms and the idle sounds smooth can feel careful and responsible. In older vehicles, this approach had practical value, which explains why it remains common. Modern engines are designed differently. Fuel injection systems, electronic controls, and improved oil formulations allow lubricant to circulate quickly after startup. In most conditions, engines reach effective operating temperature more efficiently when driven gently rather than left idling for long periods. Extended idling keeps the engine running, but not in the conditions it was designed to optimize. During prolonged idling, combustion is less efficient than during light driving. When the engine is cold, fuel may not burn completely, allowing some to mix with engine oil. Moisture from condensation can also remain in the system longer, especially in cooler environments. Over time, these factors reduce oil effectiveness and increase internal wear. Brief idling after startup is normal and often necessary to allow systems to stabilize. The concern is extended idling that goes well beyond that initial period. Sitting stationary while the engine runs for several minutes provides limited benefit and can gradually introduce unnecessary stress. Gentle driving shortly after startup allows the engine and transmission to warm more evenly. Movement and light load help systems reach proper operating temperature efficiently, supporting lubrication and limiting fuel dilution and moisture buildup. Long idling persists largely because it feels protective, not because it consistently supports long-term reliability. Habit number 5. Choosing the cheapest tires. Tires are often viewed as separate from anything related to engine health. When it is time for replacement, many drivers focus primarily on price, assuming that if the tires are the correct size and hold air, they will perform adequately. From the driver's perspective, installing cheaper tires rarely produces an immediate difference. The engine still starts normally, acceleration feels unchanged, and steady cruising appears unaffected. Because the vehicle behaves as expected, the choice does not seem connected to long-term mechanical wear. What is commonly overlooked is that tires form the final link between engine output and the road surface. Their construction, balance, and grip influence how smoothly power is transferred. Lower quality tires are more likely to have uneven internal construction, less precise balancing, and materials that lose shape more quickly. These issues can appear as mild vibration, higher rolling resistance, or inconsistent road contact. While these changes may be subtle to the driver, They are continuously absorbed by the vehicle's mechanical systems. When tires do not roll smoothly or maintain consistent traction, the drivetrain compensates. Axles, bearings, mounts and suspension components experience added movement and stress to manage imbalance or vibration. At the same time, increased rolling resistance or reduced traction requires the engine and transmission to work slightly harder to maintain speed. Each instance is minor, but repeated across daily driving, the effect becomes significant. Wear patterns also matter. Budget tires often wear faster and less evenly, which can gradually affect balance and alignment. As this develops, overall efficiency declines. The engine compensates by producing more power to achieve the same results, quietly increasing heat and internal load. Because these changes occur gradually, they rarely trigger warnings or noticeable symptoms. The vehicle simply operates under greater strain than necessary. Although tires may not seem directly connected to the engine, they influence how efficiently and smoothly engine power is used. Choosing tires based only on upfront cost can introduce long-term stress that is difficult to trace back to the original decision. Understanding this connection helps explain why tire quality contributes to overall vehicle longevity. Habit number 6. Delaying a simple air filter replacements. Air filters are one of the easiest maintenance items to delay because they rarely cause immediate or obvious problems. Many drivers inspect the filter, see that it is not heavily discolored or blocked, and decide it can remain in place longer. When the vehicle starts easily and drives normally, replacing the filter feels unnecessary. While this reaction is understandable, it overlooks how airflow affects engine operation over time. An engine relies on a consistent supply of clean air to burn fuel efficiently. As an air filter accumulates dust and debris, airflow becomes increasingly restricted, even if the filter still looks acceptable. The engine management system can adjust to changes in airflow, but only within certain limits. As restriction increases, the engine must work harder to deliver the same performance, gradually reducing efficiency. These effects develop slowly and are easy to overlook. Acceleration often feels unchanged, and fuel economy typically declines over an extended period rather than suddenly. Inside the engine, restricted airflow can alter combustion quality. Over time, this can contribute to increased deposits on internal components. In addition, an overused filter may allow fine particles to pass through, introducing contaminants that accelerate wear. This habit persists because the consequences are delayed. An aging air filter almost never causes immediate failure. Instead, it quietly increases strain and reduces efficiency over months or years. Because replacement is simple and inexpensive, it is easy to underestimate the role consistent airflow plays in long-term engine condition. Maintaining a clean air filter allows the engine to operate within its intended range, supporting stable combustion and temperature control. This is not about maximizing performance or performing unnecessary maintenance. It is about avoiding gradual strain caused by a small component that influences how hard the engine has to work every time the vehicle is driven. Habit number 7. Ignoring the check engine light. The check engine light is often dismissed because the vehicle usually continues to feel normal when it turns on. The engine may start smoothly, acceleration can remain consistent, and there may be no unusual noises or obvious changes in performance. From the driver's perspective, the car appears to be operating as expected. That sense of normalcy leads many people to assume the issue is minor and can be addressed later, often attributing the warning to emissions monitoring or a small sensor rather than a condition that affects daily driving. What is less visible is how closely these warnings are tied to the way modern engines manage fuel, temperature, and efficiency. Today's engines rely on continuous sensor feedback to adjust air-fuel ratios, ignition timing, and exhaust flow. When a sensor begins sending inaccurate information, even slightly, the engine control system compensates to maintain smooth operation. This compensation prevents immediate symptoms, but it also means the engine is no longer running exactly as it was designed to. An altered fuel mixture, for example, can slightly increase combustion temperatures or lead to less efficient combustion. These effects are subtle and rarely noticeable at first. The engine continues to perform normally because electronic controls adapt to preserve drivability. Over time, however, operating under these adjusted conditions places added strain on components designed to function within tight tolerances. Exhaust systems, emissions equipment, and heat management components are especially sensitive to prolonged inefficiencies, even when considered minor. The real concern with ignoring a check engine light is not sudden failure. It is allowing an initial contained issue to remain active and gradually affect other systems. A problem that could have been diagnosed and corrected early can quietly contribute to additional wear. When noticeable symptoms finally appear, repairs are often more complex. Costs rise not because the vehicle failed unexpectedly, but because the original signal was delayed. Addressing a check engine light does not require alarm or assumptions about severe damage. It simply means acknowledging that the vehicle has detected a change in operation. Early evaluation allows issues to be resolved while they remain limited, leading to more predictable maintenance and fewer long-term complications. What this video is not about. This video is not meant to create anxiety or suggest that common driving habits automatically cause serious mechanical problems. Modern vehicles are designed for durability, and most drivers care for their cars in reasonable ways. The habits discussed are widespread because they feel practical and low risk. There is no implication that drivers who follow them are careless or irresponsible. It is also not about shortcuts, quick fixes, or promises of eliminating repairs through simple adjustments. There are no claims that changing one habit will prevent wear or guarantee extended engine life. Vehicles naturally age with use, time, and exposure. Maintenance is about managing that process, not avoiding it. The purpose here is understanding how wear develops gradually, not promoting guaranteed outcomes. This video does not ask viewers to become mechanics or technical experts. It does not require specialized tools, advanced knowledge, or constant monitoring. The focus is not perfection or strict rules, but awareness of how everyday decisions influence long-term results. That understanding helps drivers make informed choices without unnecessary concern. Most importantly, this video is not about urgency or pressure. It does not promote fear-based action or immediate responses. Small habits accumulate slowly, and recognizing that process allows for calmer, more intentional decisions over time. When drivers understand how systems interact and why problems often appear later, maintenance becomes more predictable. That clarity supports reliability, protects long-term value, and allows vehicles to age with fewer unexpected issues. The bottom line: what awareness actually protects? Most of the habits discussed in this video do not cause immediate problems, which is precisely why they are easy to overlook. Small decisions repeated over months and years tend to matter more than any single mistake. Their effects develop gradually and are often difficult to detect until much later. Recognizing this pattern helps frame vehicle care in a practical way without turning it into a source of stress or complication. Long-term protection is not always a matter of spending more money. It is more often about understanding what deserves attention and what does not. Timing plays a greater role than intensity. Addressing minor issues early, choosing habits that reduce unnecessary strain, and noticing slow changes help systems continue to operate as intended. This approach supports reliability without requiring constant monitoring or specialized knowledge. Awareness also contributes to peace of mind. When drivers understand why wear tends to develop quietly, maintenance becomes less reactive and more predictable. Fewer unexpected issues mean less frustration and greater confidence in daily driving. Vehicles tend to age more consistently when routine choices align with how modern systems are designed to function. If this type of clear, practical explanation is useful, subscribing is optional. The purpose here is simply to help drivers feel informed, prepared, and confident over the long term, so everyday decisions support reliability rather than unintentionally working against it.